Athletes, have you ever been wondering why you haven't been getting faster and more explosive? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how strong you need to be, which plyometrics actually matter, and the most important benchmarks to chase if you want to be an elite level athlete. This will be one of the most practical and actionable videos you could ever watch on how to actually get faster. Because this KPI system I'm about to share with you has helped my athletes go from this to this. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, let's make sure we're on the same page. KPIs, or key performance indicators, are measurable benchmarks that track progress. For example, most coaches have a KPI for the deep squat. They want their athletes to be able to deep squat 1.7 times their body weight as a number they should be trying to chase afterwards over time in their training. So now that you know what a key performance indicator is, I'm going to be calling it KPI or benchmark for the rest of the video, and let's get into the most important KPIs that you need to be hitting. The first section is the strength KPIs. These are the goals I want you to hit for the lifts that I recommend. For the barbell back squat, I want a 1.75 times body weight squat at thighs parallel. You've heard this before, but there's one caveat. The concentric, which means the up portion of the lift, needs to be under 0.8 seconds. So if you're going for that 1.75 times body weight squat, let's say it's 260 pounds, you're a 150 pound athlete, and that barbell travels slower than 0.8, then it does not count. You're not lifting it with enough power. So you need to keep getting stronger so you can actually do that. And the next thing is the heels have to be elevated. If you're doing a squat and it looks like a good morning instead of a true back squat, then that is not your 1 rep max. So you want to get strong at this lift to make sure that you have the mobility and force production qualities needed to be an elite level athlete. The second strength standard is going to be a chin up. I want you to be able to chin up your body weight for 10 to 12 reps, or be able to chin up 0.35 to 0.5 times your body weight for 1 to 5 reps. This is pretty important because it's just a good upper body compound lift that's going to build the biceps, the back, and it's just an overall good upper body strength goal. The third strength KPI is going to be a trap bar deadlift. I want you to be able to trap bar deadlift 2.0 to 2.4 times your body weight, or if you don't have a trap bar, I want you to be able to barbell RDL 1.85 to 2 times your body weight. This is of course the elite level. And at these levels of strength, I want you to be using straps. I don't think the benefits you get from the grip strength needed to hit those high levels of numbers is worth it when the goal here is force production, not grip strength. And this is just a good lift to improve the force production qualities needed, especially in the posterior chain. The fourth KPI is going to be lateral strength, and this is going to be the dumbbell lateral lunge. I want you to be able to lateral lunge 0.4 to 0.6 times your body weight with a basic dumbbell lateral lunge variation. Lateral strength is huge for early acceleration, and it's also essential for movement health, especially in the hip external and internal rotators. The fifth KPI I want you to hit is about knee flexion, and I specifically have 2 goals for you to hit. The first one is you should be able to do a eccentric Nordic. The concentric portion is not necessary for this KPI, which all that means is the eccentric is you're going to be dropping down to the bottom. If you get a full range of motion Nordic and then pop yourself up with your hands, then that's all I need for you in terms of knee flexion strength. Or the second one is going to be a seated hamstring raise with a good amount of weight. Knee flexion is huge for hamstring strength and also force production needed from the posterior chain, and it has some high biomechanical needs in max velocity sprinting. The sixth thing is going to be calf strength. I want you to hit a few numbers. First is strict full range of motion single leg calf raise for 12 reps with no weight. This will be with a 1 second pause at the top and no momentum. Then I want athletes to be able to hit 2 to 3 times their body weight on a 2 leg calf raise using a machine primarily. I wouldn't suggest a barbell. For the single leg calf raise, a good number to hit is a 1.5 to 2 times body weight for 3 to 5 reps. This builds a huge base for strength in the calves, which is going to be important later on for improving your reactive strength index. The seventh KPI is going to be soleus strength. This is massive for sprinting, and I want to see a minimum of 1.5 to 2 times your body weight in the seated calf raise. Whether you're using a safety pad in a Smith machine or even a barbell if you know what you're doing, this is a slept-on muscle for reactive strength, force production in acceleration, and helping your body absorb more force eccentrically when sprinting. The eighth KPI is going to be tendon elastic strength. I have 2 simple KPIs for this one. First is going to be 2 to 3 minutes of low-level pogos without stopping. So basically, I want to see you be able to jump rope, a low-intensity jump rope, of course, for 3 minutes straight. The second one is going to be an isometric 90-degree lunge for 3 minutes straight. It might feel impossible at first, but with a few months of training, it's a great goal to hit for tendon health and elastic strength. The 9th KPI is going to be the hip thrust. I like to see 1.5 to 1.75 times body weight for the hip thrust, but I don't want athletes to be going too much past 400 pounds. If you hit anywhere between 300 to 360 pounds for 3 to 8 reps with good form, which means not overextending the lower back, then you're probably strong enough in the hip thrust where we're trying to improve peak hip extension power, which of course is important because you're going to be hitting peak hip extension in every max velocity step you take. The 10th strength KPI I want you to hit is the split squat. I want to see 1.35 to 1.5 times body weight. This is a pretty tough one to reach, but it trains glute force production when the glute is most active at sprinting, which is in early stance, or when the glute is fully lengthened. The 11th KPI I want you to hit is for hip flexor strength. I like cable drives or banded drives. A good goal is 15% body weight for 20 reps or 30 to 50% body weight for 8 to 15 reps. But you have to drive from the hip flexor, not the quad or the lower back. So don't extend the lower back and don't try to jam it up with the quad. The 12th strength KPI is pressing strength. The last strength goal is going to be pressing 1.4 to 1.6 times your body weight. And this is for the bench press. But for most athletes, I like to see a solid dumbbell bench press between 65 to 100 pounds. If you're a beginner, this doesn't matter yet, but once you've trained for a while, I want you to hit these dumbbell press numbers and dumbbell row numbers for these as well. This is just a good KPI for overall body strength. If you can row anywhere between 65 to 100 pounds and dumbbell press anywhere between 65 to 100 pounds, you're stronger than the average person, which is kind of all you need for most athletic sports. The 13th KPI, I believe it's 13, right? Hopefully it's 13, is body fat. I want most athletes to be anywhere between 10 to 15% body fat. If you're significantly past 15, you're gonna have some detriments to your performance. You're gonna either be slower, sloppier ground contact times, more muscle dominant force production strategies. And then if you're way too low, then you're probably gonna have some recovery issues. You're probably not gonna be strong enough. You're gonna lose some relative strength. So you want anywhere between 10 to 15% body fat. Most people are gonna be that 12 to 15, which is good. So we just covered the general strength numbers I want most athletes to hit. The problem is this alone won't guarantee your explosive speed, because if this is all the training that you're doing, you're gonna miss some key aspects of speed development that you're gonna need. So what every athlete needs are these next KPIs. They're significantly more important than the strength KPIs that I mentioned before. So section 2, the sprint speed KPIs. You can also replace the word sprint speed KPI with explosive athlete KPI because this applies to all sports. The first sprint speed KPI is the non-counter movement jump. I like athletes to hit anywhere between 20 to 23 inches. This is where you get into half squat position, pause for 3 to 5 seconds, then jump as high as possible. This is a great indicator of ballistic strength needed for acceleration. The second KPI is going to be standing counter movement jump. With a standing counter movement jump, I like to see anywhere between 24 to 28 inches. This adds a stretch shortening cycle into your jump. So instead of pausing at the bottom, you're actually going to drop into the bottom and reverse out as fast as possible. This type of jump has a pretty high correlation with how fast your acceleration is. So if you have a really good standing vert, you probably have enough power needed to actually be good at acceleration speed. The third KPI is going to be the approach vertical jump. This isn't as important, but I like to see athletes hitting anywhere between 30 to 36 inches, which is really impressive. And there's not a lot of correlation between your approach vertical jump and your sprint speed. But if you have good technical paralysis in the 2-foot approach and the 1-foot approach, then yeah, you're probably just a flat out good athlete. And if you're hitting these numbers, people will probably see you doing that jump and be like, oh shit, that's pretty good. So that's just a number I would like to see you hit. The fourth KPI is going to be the single leg hop. This is harder to put an exact number on, but you should be able to hop 20 yards on one leg while keeping the ground contact time under 0.2 seconds and hitting a foot over height. If it looks clean and your ground contact times aren't sloppy or your hip and knee aren't collapsing, then you're probably in a solid spot. And this is just a good indicator of reactive strength qualities that you need to be fast. It's also one of the best exercises you can do in all your speed programs. You should be cycling through 1 to 2 times per week to improve your speed. The fifth KPI is the broad jump, and this is extremely important. This is one of the most important power metrics. A good number is 115 to 120 inches, which is around 9 to 10 feet from a standing broad jump. Like I said before, this is a huge power indicator. So if you struggle with the broad jump, you need to do broad jumps more, measure your distance, and try to get to that 9 feet over years of training because this is one of the biggest power indicators for athletes. The sixth KPI is the standing triple jump. This is another huge power indicator. I want athletes to be able to hit 37 to 40 feet in the standing triple jump. If you can hit 40 feet in the standing triple jump, then there's a high indication from a lot of high-level coaches and a lot of research out there that you could probably have the force production quality and power needed to run a 4.5 second 40-yard dash or faster. The seventh KPI is reactive strength. This is extremely important. This is easily a top 3 metric to improve. I need athletes to have a minimum RSI score of 2.5 with a goal range of 3.0 to 4.0. You must keep your hands on your hips, so no kicking your feet forward to cheat the number to give you more airtime essentially. And it needs to come purely from your ability to pogo. Reactive strength is one of the key fundamentals to sprint speed. So the higher you get this up around that 3.0 to 4.0 range, then you're going to have the force production qualities from the lower limbs, the reactive strength and elastic qualities from the lower limbs needed to be a fast athlete. The eighth KPI is going to be acceleration. Most good athletes should aim to hit a 10-meter start laser time of 1.55 to 1.65 seconds. And this next part isn't a KPI, but it's too important to leave out. This is more of like a weekly checklist to be doing to hit your KPI. We want to be doing sprint accelerations 1 to 2 times per week. That means 5 to 25 yards per rep, 80 to 150 yards per session of max effort sprints, and 2 to 3 minutes of rest between sprints. For example, 6 times 20-yard sprints is 120 yards of total sprint session with 2-minute rest in between every single rep. The ninth KPI is going to be max velocity sprint speed. The gold standard for max velocity is a sub 0.95 second 10-meter fly. A good goal is 1.0 seconds, and the ultimate goal is, of course, sub 0.9 seconds, which is for the elite athletes. The best way to hit this is improving your reactive strength and exposing yourself to max velocity sprinting, aka stimulating your body for top end speed. For top end speed, we want 10 to 20 yard flies, 30 to 40 meter max effort sprints, and a total distance of 120 yards per session, or a 5% drop off if you're doing 10-yard flies or timed sprints. Max velocity is important in every sport, so make sure you're training. Knowing all these numbers and having the goals is amazing, but how do you actually improve your squat numbers, your broad jump, your reactive strength, and even your max velocity? Well, that's where this video comes in on a full guide on how to train like an explosive athlete. And you want me to program all this for you, then hop on the Speed Academy, top link in the description or the pinned comment.